Welcome to episode 54 of the XRM Toolcast. In this episode, Scott and I speak with former guest David Rivard as he shows off his new tool, the Catalog Manager, and we talk about the tool that he was going to create last time we met, the Custom API Manager. I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is the software we used to create the podcast had an error, and I lost the ability to have separate tracks and separate videos. Therefore, I couldn't make any edits to this episode. So you will hear it exactly how we created it. The good news is that you're still going to hear it, and we didn't lose everything. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the XRM Toolcast. With me, your host, Daryl, always raising the bar, and Scott, 2 thumbs up Duro. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, that was when you logged in, you gave 2 thumbs up. So that's your name this week. 2 thumbs up.
Microphone's in the way. I just kind of started hitting the microwave and make some noises. Yeah, no, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's been a busy week, but yeah, I was involved with some of the docs updates on the PCF control stuff, docs.microsoft.com, which was exciting stuff. So it's really good because like Canvas, that's the big thing, right? PCF in Canvas is now GA. So there was a few updates we had to make to the docs, but yeah, really exciting times.
Cool. So I obviously haven't been doing that because I'm not you, and that's your realm. But good job on that. I'll look forward to grabbing that the next time I have to worry about throwing a PCF control in our in a Canvas app. So our guest today is a repeat guest, and also I think this is the first time we've had a guest back on that created a tool that we challenged him or her to create on air. And so not only are we going to talk about that tool as it has come to fruition, we'll also talk about a brand new tool that he's created that besides me being impressed at how much stuff went into the UI alone, I know nothing about. So this is like a learning experience for me as well as I guess you, Scott, as well, unless you know more about it as well. But our guest is David Rivard. David, how are you doing?
Hi, guys. I'm great. Good to see you.
Great. And this is the mostly Canadian show here, as both of you guys are currently located in Canada. So I'll try to keep my Yankee stuff to myself, I guess, or whatever. Canadians call Americans Yankees, or is that
keep
just
your Yankee stuff to yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, hopefully, David and I will be able to meet face to face at some points in the near future.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, although because like you're on the East Coast, yeah, right, David. So, and it's I kind of just coming to terms with the enormity.
It's so huge.
It's like, I'm used to this tiny little dot of an island where you can just practically travel anywhere within a few hours. But I think it's like almost the same distance to go from where you are to the UK as it is for me to get from where I am to you.
4 or 6 hours.
Yeah, it's just, I just can't imagine that distance. I can't comprehend those distances growing up in the UK. Just whereas you've grown up in North America, you're used to these huge distances, so it's going to take me a while. I've driven. It's not too long.
Yep. So the tool that we the last time we were on when Jonas was on, that you both kind of came up with your own tool idea and you both created, and that's the Custom API Manager. So let's go ahead and start with that one. We know the history of it because it started on the show, so our listeners should go back and listen to that episode if they want to know more about that. But so what is it? Why should people be using it? And what does it help with?
Yeah, actually, like the Custom API Manager is a very great tool to because as you know, like the new Custom API capabilities, it's the authoring experience in the Solution Explorer is not quite there yet. Like it's very hard to see to have an overview of what the APIs you're building. If you compare to the custom actions that we're using the workflow manager, you see all your inputs, your outputs in the same screen. But with the custom API, you need to. It's very hard to see the have a nice overview of your what you're building. So the custom API manager, the goal is to bring this same kind of experience to the user that you would have using the workflow manager, but for the custom API.
So before you go on, for the listener that doesn't know anything about the custom API, could you just sort of do a kind of a little synopsis of what custom APIs are and, you know, the background behind them?
Yeah, custom API actually are a way for a developer to extend the platform. It gives you the ability to create your own messages. So instead of you have all of the out-of-the-box messages that are there, create, update, delete, and so on. But sometimes you need a bit more. You will need to add your own flavor or your own way to extend to add a message to a table or entity. So that's where the custom API comes in. It gives you the ability to set a set of inputs and outputs, and then you can have some code that will actually do the business process in the back end and give you back the response.
So people have probably maybe used custom actions before. So what's the lowdown on custom APIs compared to custom actions? You know, what's the deal there?
I could say that there's less. How can I say that? There's less.
Let me give you a hand here, David.
Yeah.
So my take of it is custom APIs are what custom actions should have been. Meaning that custom actions are based on the workflow engine at the core, and that's not a very good technology because that's based on Windows workflow, which is not a cloud-based technology. And so the custom actions is what it should have been. And so it eliminates eliminates that dependency on the workflow engine, and it's just strictly, hey, here's my custom API, here are my parameters, and then it lets you actually fully control what actually happens at that level rather than hijacking some weird process. That helps.
That's what you're going to say, David, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, because like the whole plugin thing with custom actions that's the thing I used for a long time. It's like, okay, yeah, custom actions invoke this whole custom workflow foundation backend thing, but then you just hijack it with a plugin to then go and just call your C# code in a plugin, and you don't worry about the workflow foundation stuff. But now there's no coupling to workflow foundation. It's basically the only implementation you can do is C# with a plugin. And also with an ALM perspective, that's what I love about it, is that before your whole definition of inputs and outputs was sort of locked into this XAML nonsense, which made it impossible to kind of look at the diffs in this solution, and now it's just like they're solution components, right? The inputs and the outputs.
The footprint is much lower.
Yeah, exactly, and easier to establish in terms of you export the customizations and you can see them there. They're objects that come out in the solution components. So that's where your tool comes in, is that making it easier to create these things.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've created some with the out of the box experience. It's kind of hard for when you get there at first. It's kind of hard to get a real sense of what you're doing and put them all in your solution, and you don't have a nice view of what you're actually doing. So the custom API manager goal is to give you a nice authoring experience for all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it shocked me initially because it was just it was like the classic UI. You kind of went into the old forms and it was like, whoa, what? This is a new feature, but we're seeing the ribbon and the old rendering of the forms.
Which means somebody at Microsoft that was used to the old way was the one that implemented it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but now recently, when I was editing it, it does open up in the UCI now, so you can edit your actions in the UCI, which makes it a little bit nicer. But like you say, you don't get that feeling of editing and custom API as a thing where you're defining your inputs and you're selecting your values, your parameter types, and your responses and everything like that. So yeah, I've used your API manager lots to do just that, and it just certainly makes it so much easier.
And there's a lot of stuff that I take care of, like you can select your publisher that you don't have in the out of the box experience. So you have like drop down for entities and things like that. So I try to make a good UX and a good experience.
Yeah, because out of the box, I think there's bugs with like if you create it within the context of a solution, it doesn't actually, when you create it in the UI out of the box, it doesn't actually associate to the solution. You got to go back and like reassociate it after you've created it, I believe. I think that's documented. At least it was when I went through and created it recently. So yeah, that's nice that's one thing you won't have to worry about because it'll be in that solution for you. So that's good. You're already one up in Microsoft. Come on, good job.
Has anyone from Microsoft contacted you about it? Have you had any kind of, any sort of? It's interesting because you'd think because presumably because now you've got like a set of users that are doing this stuff on a regular basis, so you'd think that it would be a quite a good source of feedback for the team. So if anyone from the Microsoft team, they should contact David if you're listening.
So, David, the icon for this thing, did you generate that yourself? Was there some, or maybe that's the icon for you? Little like star
I think
kind of symbol, like pentagon kind of thing?
I think I got it on Icon 8 website, something like that. I don't remember where I got it.
All right, so you didn't create it. You borrowed it from something else.
Yeah.
Well, I see we're talking about really important stuff now, Daryl. Icon.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't take long, did it?
Well, I was gonna say, hey, you've done two things that I haven't done, and now it's back to more. So you've just done one thing I haven't done, and that's the tool itself. Actually, is integrated with another tool, with Jonas's custom API tester. So I've never actually integrated one tool with another tool, although I should have. And I need to. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Easy.
Yeah, I know,
Super
which is why I should do it.
That was actually that was one good thing when we like you dared me to make that tool the last time I was on the show, and I remember it was during Christmas holidays, and I had to contact Jonas and we exchanged to make our tools talk together, and it's super easy. It's 2 lines of code, and it gives a much better experience to the user, and it's like a bromance. I call it a tool bromance.
that should be like the kind of the interface. If you implement iBromance, then you can communicate. Can we?
It had to be like
request.
iToolmance, I think, would be more of what it is, right? Because I mean, it's the tools.
Well, you're kind of trying to come up with like a non-gender specific interface here. This is the problem. This is what you're doing.
Yeah. Anyway, that's funny.
Well,
and the other thing I was going to say that you did that I haven't done is created a really cool looking icon, but you borrowed it from someone else. So I don't know if that slides. I don't know. It beats me. My icons for the toolbox are all just horrible. But that doesn't matter. It's the functionality people want, right?
Keep telling yourself that, Daryl. Yeah,
I'll keep on telling myself. That UI doesn't matter. But I'm going to have to enter in a not a pull request, a issue on GitHub that you need to add some docking information for your form so that when you expand it, it doesn't just stay the same size. Good old WinForms docking.
Yeah, WinForms. WinForms is just never going to die, is it? It's one of those things that's just become so ubiquitous in so many areas that didn't it get open source recently? The source code for WinForms. I'm sure I read that. Maybe I dreamt it. Yeah. No, I'm sure that there was something about the WinForms legacy code just becoming open source. Anyone can see it.
I know I've seen someone tried the XRM toolbox on Windows 11, and the look and feel looks completely different, and it's looking quite good.
Ah, actually. Neat. So you mean that the Chrome around it, or does it actually influence the actual, the buttons inside?
The look and feel change automatically in Windows 11.
Ah, nice. That's good. That's pretty clever stuff. Have you installed Windows 11 yet?
No.
About you, Daryl?
Oh, I'm not that cutting edge at all. I got other things to work on.
Yeah, exactly. When anyone says, "Oh, you should install Windows 11," I was like, no, I've got lots of other stuff to do. We contribute to the greater good of the development of Windows and the preview program, but other than that.
I did see someone created they installed Windows 11 on a Windows mobile phone, actually. And I was kind of impressed by that someone has that working on a Windows mobile phone. So it's interesting.
I'm impressed they still got a Windows mobile phone that's still working. I mean,
people have time on their hands, I guess. The Custom API Manager is all about creating custom APIs, editing custom APIs, adding your response parameters and your request parameters all as efficiently and as cleanly and as possible, right? So that's the Custom API Manager. Anything else that we need to add on that before we move on to your other tool here?
I think we've made we talk about everything.
Talk about everything. Okay. So the other tool is the Catalog Manager, right?
Yeah. Actually,
right, so now
this
I'm
one
going to have to challenge you. I'm going to have to challenge you to make a tool without manager in it.
So now I have to explain what is the Catalog Manager.
Yes.
So actually, this is kind of funny because it comes from there's a new functionality called Business Events that I saw there was a press release from Microsoft, and I actually don't really know what it's going to be, and it's starting. We don't really know where that is going, but it actually, the only thing you can do with business events right now is to when you're in Power Automate, you have a new trigger which called when an action is performed. And this new action needs a catalog to exist. Like when you put your trigger on the Power Automate flow, you need to select from which catalog your action comes from, and that's why you need to create some catalogs. And I don't know if you guys maybe you have more information on what are these catalogs, but it's I think it comes from FNO. The architecture comes from FNO, and it's two new entities, catalog and catalog assignments. And with these two entities, you can put some business events together and expose them to the Power Automate flow. So, and basically it's the same thing. The authoring experience it's a bit hard to understand. So, and there's even some things that you cannot do with the forms that are actually there. So you need to do web API calls to make things happen. So that's why I decided to make the Catalog Manager. And again, it's the same concept. It's to have a 360-degree view on your catalogs, everything you can put in them, and have a good view on what you put in your catalogs. So actually, that's the
it's interesting,
same
isn't it,
concept here.
How these things are just sort of starting to creep into the solution infrastructure in a very incremental way. It's very different to where it used to be, where there was like a big announcement and there would be like, this is a fully, polished, documented feature. And it's now these things are kind of getting in there. You see things popping up like, other solution components. You think, what are those exactly? So yeah, it's quite interesting seeing these business events coming into Dataverse, because it does mean that there's obviously a lot more planned coming, because like you say, it does seem a little bit half finished. With the fact that you can't edit all of the functionality, you need to do it through the web API. So yeah, I do believe it does exactly as you say. It comes from F&O in terms of the business event. So it kind of seems to be that there is this notion of having Dataverse of being kind of like sort of a message bus type infrastructure.
Actually, that's one of the good when you read the business event press release. That's one of the good pattern I see there. You can even use custom API, but that don't trigger any code. The custom API just act as it's an empty shell with inputs and outputs, and it just serves as a signal. And this signal can be used. Anyone can subscribe to this signal and do some stuff. And you can use a Power Automate low code and a custom API. So it's a way of doing low code in a custom API way. So it's
So you can imagine external systems that are line of business systems, like you have some internal based on SQL Server and ASP.NET and stuff, but it does certain things and it calls out to Dataverse to say, hey, I've just updated a customer record, or I've created a new product. And then Dataverse, receives that event, and then a flow runs on the back of that event. And so you're sort of starting to use Dataverse to manage lots and lots of different external systems, all using the same kind of eventing mechanism, so that you could use the same ubiquitous, flow, Power Automate flow type logic to control and orchestrate all this sort of stuff. So it suddenly makes Dataverse become a lot more prevalent in your enterprise than perhaps it was, whereas it was just, maybe the typical scenario is Dataverse was just sitting on top of an external message bus, like an Azure message bus or IBM MSQ or something like that. And whereas now it's like, okay, well, Dataverse can be the central part of your whole enterprise, and it can be the hub that all of those spokes sit off, which is, it's quite a bold move, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you see kind of yourself using that kind of functionality in any projects?
I think so. And also, as I said, it's a way now with the custom API manager, you can create custom API like a business guy can create a custom API. You don't need to be a coder, and you can hook these events to Power Automate flow that you can do in a low code way. So it's I think it brings it brings a new dimension that for citizen developers that was not possible before. So I think it's pretty cool.
So walk this through me again here, David. So you're saying a non-developer can create a custom API. Yeah, got that. Totally great. But without
that triggers no code.
That triggers no code. So what does it trigger? And then it triggers how? What does that do for them then? And
then you have your custom API that does nothing, but you put this custom API in a catalog, and then you create a flow that will trigger on when the custom API gets called.
Okay. So now the catalog will call the custom API.
No, the custom API will be called. Any events will call the message. Let's say on customer enter store. IoT device sends a message that a customer entered the store, and then your Power Automate flow grabs that your message was called, gets all the inputs that you can put there. Do the business logic gets executed in the Power Automate flow, and you can act on a custom API directly from Power Automate.
So in that, you're creating a custom API that some other thing is calling external from CRM, and then from there, you're going to trigger flows or whatever Power Automate stuff based on that custom API without having to define any code for that.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It's almost like it's starting to create like a BizTalk orchestration engine. Almost that seems to be where it's going. I wonder what the implications are around API entitlement consumption. Okay, if you've got a customer entering the store, unless they're sort of, unless you've got a massive footfall, people coming in and out. But if you've got something like, a temperature sensor that's sending alerts or something, and then there's some massive influx of events, you could burn through your API entitlements very, very quickly. So I wonder how that's going to work.
Couldn't say.
Me too. Good question, Scott. I don't know. I think it's going to work how it works now, where you got what is it? You have like 15. I was listening to the MVP show, CRM MVP show, and I think Gus was saying that for entitlements, like you've got like 15 days straight of if you blow through your entitlements, like they don't do anything until they actually like have an issue with you. Microsoft does, right? And so like. Maybe that's just what happens. Maybe they won't say anything until you start using too much, and then they'll notify you. Say, hey, you can't do. You're using too many entitlements, and then you get to figure out what you want to do at that point in time. So you probably have to offload it to something else, or maybe buy more licenses. I'm not quite sure what Microsoft's idea is.
Buy more entitlements. I think that's just generally going to be. Which the thing is, if you think about it, assuming that you're using it for the right kind of things, because there's two types of solutions, isn't there? There's one way someone's just blatantly it's not using the right tech for the right thing. So like IoT Hub, I don't think this would be used for anything like IoT, because the reason that you use IoT Hub is that it's designed by very nature to handle like millions of events and then distill them down and create less records, reduce them based on parameters. But if presuming you're using it for the right kind of use case, if you have a problem where you are burning through your entitlements, it's actually probably a good thing, right? Because it probably means your business is doing really well. If you've got so many customers coming into the store that you burn through all your entitlements, it's like, well, hey, happy days. We'll just go and pay for some more licenses,
That's one option. The other option is some developer has an infinite loop somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Daryl, is there something you want to share? Did you want to just, confess something, get it off your chest here? And
well, I was just amazed how, Scott, you shared with me the other day that you were able to execute an infinite loop in under 4 seconds. That was impressive to me.
I can be guaranteed to implement as many infinite loops as you like. Why is everything stop? Oh, Scott's broken it again. Yeah, so. Do you remember back in the day when you used to be able to attach a debugger to the IIS server, and then
and then everyone else's experience just completely died.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Why is CRM not working in dev? Like, oh, that's me. I put a breakpoint and attached my debugger against the server itself. And I think that was the day I started the XRM unit test framework, actually.
Yeah. If there's a way to break it, we will find it.
Yes, we will. We will.
But it's it's certainly exciting to see where the business catalog things go. I think if you look at all of the features, this is probably one of the ones that have the most potential to be far-reaching in kind of architectural terms. Sure, we get all these little features that we can change the way that we do something previously to maybe more efficient or more ALM friendly or more low-code friendly. But this sort of stands to sort of fundamentally change the way that we would architect solutions. Yeah,
the questions I have for that then as well, David, is well, first off, the UI is obviously a very closely related to the Custom API Manager UI. So bravo on being able to reuse your previous work. But so there's basically like 3 things that you have to worry about, right? There's the root catalog, categories, and catalog assignments. Can you kind of walk through what those things are? Yeah. And if someone knows nothing about catalogs, open up the tool, like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Actually, the catalogs and the categories are the same. It's the same entity. It's the entity called catalog. So the category is like a second level catalog. So it's a hierarchical architecture. You cannot put 3 parents, so you can only have 2 levels. And on the category, on the second level, the category, you can attach catalog assignments, and you can only attach catalog assignments on a category. You cannot attach them on a root catalog. So that's kind of that's
Okay.
why it's kind of complicated. If you go in the Solution Explorer to edit your catalog, it's kind of hard to know where you're at. So that's why I think the tool is good for the seeing where you're at in the process of creating your catalogs. And what's interesting is the catalog assignments. You have three types of three types of thing that you can attach in your catalog assignments. You can attach, like we said, a custom API. You can attach a table, and you can attach, I think it's custom action, but processes. But processes is more like a legacy thing. Like I think the way it's going, it's gonna be tables and custom API. And what it does when you attach a table. So let's say I create a catalog called car dealership, and I have my category called tables. And in my table, I will add my entities like car dealer, car models, and things like that. What I will be able to do with if I put the table in the catalog, what I will be able to do when I go to Power Automate Flow and I say trigger when action is performed, there's some of the events that happens on a table that will be surfaced there, like grant access, revoke access. So I'm able to have like a Power Automate Flow that will trigger anytime I grant access on any record of a table. And also what's interesting is like when I put this trigger on, I will have all the parameters that, okay, what is the record? If it's a grant access, I will know what is the record, who did I grant access to, and all the context, like I would in a plugin. It's a bit like, you could see that as a asynchronous plugin on a grant access message, but in Power Automate. So that's... I don't know if I lost you guys there.
No, I think I'm understanding now.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm even looking, even out of the box, there's already some that already exist. And so that's kind of helpful to walk through and see what exists out there. So there's a Microsoft Dataverse common root catalog that has common tables, which has nothing in it as far as the assignments. So I'm not sure if that's useful at all. But then there's activity tables that show like task, fax, letter, appointment, and so forth. So that must be a way that they have set up to be able to trigger events in Power Automate based on those updates to those tables then, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else we need to make sure we dive into and understand on Catalog Manager?
I think that's about everything. And as I said, I built the tool, but even myself, I didn't have the time to explore all the possibilities of the. It's more that I saw the press release and I saw that it was kind of. And first, it uses a custom API, and I have the custom API manager, so there's a fit in there. But I haven't had the time to fully explore what we can do with that. But,
okay.
hopefully,
cool.
Some people will use the catalog manager and make blog posts about what you can really do with them. So
you're really cutting edge here, David, because you have like you yourself don't have a really good use case for it, besides the fact that you wanted to do it and it was hard. So I mean, that's bleeding edge for tool creation. It's usually
Definitely.
me, if it's like the second time I do something that I decide I don't want to do this, I create a tool for it. But this is like first time you do it. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably need to have a tool for it. So that's bleeding edge, man. Keep it up.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to write to us and tell us how they're using it, that would be useful. Yeah, it'd be good to know.
Yeah, that could probably even qualify as a good, prize-winning letter, right? Right, Scott?
It could do. Yeah, absolutely. Hint, hint, hint.
All right. So, David, anything else that we want to make sure we cover in our time today? Anything else that you want to talk about?
Yeah, but
Anything we're
actually,
missing?
I think there's a lot of things. It's very interesting time for developers in the Power Platform. There's a lot of new things coming on. I saw the multi-table lookups just dropped down this week, so it's very excited about that. I know that I think that there will be packages for plugins that I don't know when it's supposed to come out soon, but we won't have to IL merge anymore if we have external libraries. So it's pretty interesting time for development in the platform.
Yeah, that's really kind of maturing, isn't it? That whole area. Yeah, now that the whole Dataverse team is sort of managing themselves as a product almost, although Dataverse is not a product, it's almost being treated as a product with these kind of features that are well thought out features, rather than before it was like, okay, well, we need to build this feature into the platform because this first party app needs it. Whereas now there's these features that seem to be coming out that are like, okay, well, if we are a data platform, what do we need to do as a data platform in order to serve our customers? And those customers can be any first party or third party, or the customers using creating apps and stuff.
I think it's a huge example of what you see in the actual platform itself with the way that Microsoft has structured their teams, because they have to have a team now that's solely just platform specific. And so when a first party app says, I need this feature, rather than doing a backdoor implementation that only Microsoft gets to do, which was the case in like 2011 when I got started, all the way into like 20, to the start of version 9, like all these things were, oh, this is a new feature, you can't use it because only we can use it internally. And now we're to the point of, oh, well, this first party app needs it, so we're going to go ahead and create it first at the tool platform level. And now everyone can use it, including the first party apps, but you can use it too in your projects and whatever you're doing as well. So I think that's, you're right, David, that's really exciting things to be seeing and to get. And I mean, those are two huge things that you mentioned, right? The multiple table lookup feature, right?
That's
I mean,
huge.
we've wanted that since day zero, right? Polymorphic stuff. And then the being able to reference other DLLs in the packages is another one. Now, I haven't seen that notification. That's out there then, is it, for the packages?
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure what I saw. I think I saw a table because all these tables pop up now. When you go in the Solution Explorer, you have all new. I think there's a thing for the key vault references that is coming, but really it's not really documented. But I think I saw one called package. So I hope it's the architecture to be able to put some packages in our plugins. So.
Well, you say, Daryl, that they build these things as, and everyone can use them. I think there is a little bit of a grey area here, is exactly as you say, David. You've got stuff just popping up in that Solution Explorer. It's a little bit better in preview, right? So if you go to make.preview.powerapps.com, you get a much more curated list of things, but still you go into other and it's like, wham, all these things, and half of the stuff you just don't know what they are. Like you said, they're not documented, so you just have to kind of guess and experience and play around. So I think there is a bit of a gray area until it's fully documented. I think these things, and they're probably being used by the first party apps already because that's why they're released. It's just that we don't really know how to use them properly, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for the docs.microsoft.com updates.
Yes, we will. Yeah, so that's
I don't know how
two huge things.
Your eye is peeled, but I'm going to peel my eyes. It's a bit of a strange expression, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and maybe it's just like when peeling an orange, it's always open and you don't see the outside. Maybe that's what it comes from. But yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty disgusting, really, peeling your eyes.
Don't do that.
Is that just a British thing, or is that like a universal?
We have it over here in the colonies, so yeah, I don't know. That's a phrase too. There are some phrases that are. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to call us? Anyway.
Have you been watching the football? I mean, I can't go through a whole thing without mentioning the fact that England are in the finals of the Euro Cup. Have you been watching the football at all? No.
Have you been watching hockey?
Nope.
I'm trying. I'm trying very hard. I really am. That's like,
Yeah. Well, you need to be very sad because Montreal just lost.
Yeah, we lost yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I even talked about hockey in the last episode.
Yeah.
That was a video game hockey with my brother, but still, it was hockey. That's where I learned most of my hockey was from video games.
Yeah. Well, my daughter kind of started hockey before things got closed down. But I'm presuming they'll be starting to start up again now. But the thing that struck me is she puts all this gear on and she's like doubled in size. She's like huge, all this stuff. This game must be seriously dangerous. You need all this protective gear.
Yeah. The funny part is hockey is one of the only sports where like fist fights are totally okay. Like you get a 5-minute penalty like for fighting. Where like any other sport is like you either get thrown out, you get like in jail, you get in banned, I mean, huge things. The Pacers and Ron Artest had the huge fight with the Pistons back in the day, and like, he couldn't play for X number of games, and had all these penalties associated to it. Where hockey's like, oh yeah, you're on skates, fist fighting's totally fine, and it's just kind of funny, and that's what every hockey attendee really is kind of hoping for when they go to the game. Like, let's hope a couple good fights this game, that's just funny. I guess we haven't come too far from the Roman times of bloodbaths and watching that.
It just allowed you to regress a few ages back to bare knuckle fist fighting or something.
Bare knuckle fist fights. All right. Well, David, if someone wants to get into a bare knuckle fist fight with you, how do they get a hold of you? Actually, maybe if they don't want to get one, how do they get a hold of you?
Actually, you can get hold of me on Twitter. I have David_Rivard. You can I have my blog. It's called itmustbecode.com, and you can reach me on GitHub, drivardxrm. Find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, anything. I will be happy to answer your questions about the tools, and if you have any. Also, if someone finds bugs and any ideas to improve the tool, please post on the GitHub repo, and I will be happy to make some improvements. So. Cool. And hopefully people will like the tool and they will use it.
Yeah. Well, Scott, that's how our listeners can get a hold of our guests. How can they get a hold of us?
Well, Daryl, so you can send us an email, anything you want, any interesting stuff, especially if you've used the Custom API Manager or the Catalog Manager from David, and how, in fact, you've even been using the new catalog features. Email us and potentially win some swag at cast@xrmtoolbox.com, or you can reach us on LinkedIn and Twitter at xrmtoolcast. Love to hear from you.
Awesome. Scott, David, it's great talking to you gentlemen today. Appreciate your time, David, and coming on and diving into some of your tools here. And I'll have to think of something else to challenge you with so that the community gets a new tool from you, huh?
You just can't resist.
Yeah.
No, it's always better to make someone else do.
I have some ideas for future tools.
Okay. All right. Well, do you, any that you want to share, or you're just going to keep them close to your chest?
No. But I would love to have like a virtual entity manager. That's when, but that's a bit more complicated. So I've tried something, but it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen in the near future. I don't have the time right now for that.
Well, once you have built it, then we would love to have you back on the show, and you can tell us all about it.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
This has been the XRM Toolcast with Jonas Rapp and Daryl Rivard. If you have any questions for Jonas or I, or suggestions for future episodes, please send them to cast@xrmtoolbox.com or tweet to XRM Toolcast.